Hello. Welcome to Disco Joker. This video I analyze a game of the old times, the opera game played in 1858 between the famous Paul Morphy and the Duke of Brunswick Karl II with his teammate Comte Isouard de Vauvenargues, the French aristocrat. But before we begin, it should be stated that Paul Morphy was one of the best players for his time. There were no official world chess championships then, but he was quite well known, a celebrity if you will. So much so he was invited to attend opera, The Barber of Seville, though some historians argue it was a different performance. While Morphy was there, the Duke really wanted to play some chess as they watched the performance. Now, I know what you're thinking, who the hell plays chess at opera? Imagine your chum invites you to the movies to watch Morbius, then he pulls out a Monopoly board mid-movie. Morbin time? Nah man. It's Monopoly time. He says like a buffoon. First off, that dude isn't your friend if he does that. Second, back in those days you couldn't hear a damn thing from the opera, therefore opera was treated as a social event more than anything else, so it wasn't too weird for the Duke to bring chess to the show. Morphy played the white pieces and Duke Karl played the black pieces. He also happened to have invited another dude, the aristocrat guy, to tag team, Cheater. But Morphy really wanted to watch the performance, so he had to win ASAP. And now without further ado, the opera game, which starts with e4, e5, knight f3, d6. This is the Philidor defense on the board right now. Black reinforces his center control and constructs a pawn chain. Very popular opening at the beginner level and sometimes the intermediate level, rarely seen at the grandmaster level however due to the fact it's very passive, and also it kinda sucks balls. More on this later in the video. d4, white strikes in the center to challenge black's control. The main line in this case would be the pawn exchange. White normally recaptures with the knight or queen, hence we call this the exchange variation. But instead, black goes with bishop g4 to pin the knight to the queen, a popular response to white's d4 at the time but these days is considered to give black a lousy position, which is exactly what happens in the next few moves. D captures e5, now black must do something to recover his lost pawn. Taking it back immediately with d captures e5 results in the queens getting exchanged, as well as black losing out on castling rights, and on top of that, with no queen to be pinned against, the knight may now take the e5 pawn for free, all the while threatening to capture the bishop and fork the king and rook. Logically, black would play something like bishop e6 to defend against these threats, but still this position is very bad for black, with Stockfish giving this position 3.8 points for white. Which is why black should not go with the immediate recapture and captures the knight with bishop captures f3. Queen captures f3 is played to avoid doubling of the pawns, though analysis shows that such an option is also fine to play. D captures e5 is played only now that the time is right to do so. Bishop c4, this threatens the good old scholar's mate, a classic among sub-400 players, but black knows better than to allow such a humiliating defeat and plays knight f6 to block the threat. Blocking with the queen would have been a much better move. Queen b3, this prepares a battery to add further pressure to the weak f7 square, and at the same time attacking the b7 pawn which potentially wins a rook. Black simply cannot ignore this pressure against f7, say he plays b7 to defend the pawn and rook, then this hangs checkmate in two moves with bishop f7 check, then wherever black moves his king, whether it be d7 or e7, queen e6 is checkmate. You have no idea how many games I've won through these same 9 moves. Black cannot solve both threats, and the king takes priority over any lowly foot soldier, therefore black plays queen e6 to defend against this checkmate. Black expects white to capture the b7 pawn, but instead he plays knight c3. The point of developing a piece is to maintain the initiative. Say white were to capture the pawn, then black could gain some counterplay with queen before check, forking the king and queen. White must recapture the queen which is defended by the bishop, meaning black may develop with tempo, and thus white loses out on the initiative. In practice, the line after capturing the pawn is better as analysis has shown, as well as the fact it is the engine move. Morphy's playstyle had more to do with rapid development and holding on to his queen. Black takes the time to play c6 so the queen may defend the b7 pawn. Bishop g5 pins the knight to the queen, and now white has a choice between castling on the king side or the queen side. b5 is played in the hope that black can buy some time by making the bishop retreat. This turns out to be a fatal error, as white plays the stunning move knight capture b5, sacrificing a knight for 2 pawns. Unless you're talking to Northern Lion, anyone will tell you trading a piece for 2 pawns is usually bad, but this is a rare instance where it wins the game. Observe as we delve deeper into this line. C capture b5, bishop capture b5 check, and black blocks the check with knight d7. White castles queen side, with the rook now on a lovely open file. Black plays rook d8, adding a defender to the pinned knight. Rook capture d7, rook capture d7, rook d1, and now look at black's position. He is simply unable to withstand the immense pressure due to all the pins and attacking pieces. The d7 rook is pinned to the king while being attacked by a rook. The f6 knight is pinned to the queen, and the queen is stopping the f8 bishop from moving. On top of that, black's king is still not castled. The game is almost certainly lost for black despite the fact white is down in material. Queen e6 is played, removing the pin and freeing the bishop, but this is too little too late as white is completely winning. White captures the pinned rook with check. The now unpinned knight recaptures the bishop, but this would be the last mistake black makes. I now challenge you to a nifty chess puzzle to practice your tactics. White to move and mate in 2. Can you solve it? Let me know in the comment section down below. I will present the solution in 3, 2, 1. The solution is queen b8 check, sacrificing the queen for the win. The only move available is to take the queen with the knight, but then white ends the game though with rook d8, checkmate. And thus, the world-famous opera game has been overed by the world-famous Paul Morphy. He may finally get back to watching the performance as he wanted to do the whole time. This all begs the question, what could black have done? Analyze this position if you will. White has just captured the d7 rook with check. Engine analysis shows that the exchange sacrifice is the best approach. When Stockfish thinks giving up the queen is a good idea just to save yourself from total deconstruction, then you know you're screwed. But don't take that queen just yet, because white can make black's life suck more than it already does with queen b8 check. King e7, queen capture e5 check, winning a pawn, king d8, bishop capture knight f6 check, g capture f6, queen capture f6 check forks the king and rook, king c8, and only now does white capture the queen. King capture d7, queen capture h8. White is clearly winning. With a queen and 4 pawns for a bishop, only XQC could possibly stalemate this position from here on out. Now, this game is cool and all, but who cares? I hear you asking. Black was playing pretty badly and white was just good at chess. This particular game has great importance to the world of chess. It changed theory, a very good game to watch, and many beginner-level players can learn some valuable chess lessons from it. Avoid these mistakes to become the best of the best chess player. Develop your pieces. The fillet or defense is considered bad because A, you're not developing a piece and instead strengthen a center that is bound to dissolve later anyway, and B, by playing d6 you block the dark square bishop from developing to a square other than e7, and fianchetting is no good either. If you are a beginner player, my advice would be to play knight c6 when the e5 pawn is being attacked by the knight. When your opponent seeks to solidify the center, use counterstrike with a pawn to the center. This will disturb their stake in the center. It is more productive to develop your knights before bishops. The knights develop to one square 90% and one of the other two 10% of the time. Bishops on the other hand are more versatile as they may be developed to more squares. It wouldn't do you much good to develop a bishop super early and later wish it were at a different square instead. Knowing opening theory gets you very far in chess, from recognizing traps to use/avoid to knowing hard to see sequences as the best moves. However, if you are a new, just play basic opening principles. For the higher rated ones you'll have to learn to a point. Most people will say a bishop and knight have equal value of 3, but the truth is bishops are considered slightly better, at 3 1/4. There's only one bishop for each color, so by exchanging one for a knight, you lose out on control of that bishop's color complex. Be sure to exchange with reason, say to double pawns, or if you're going to win material. Single pawn advantages are nice and all, but the initiative is also a major benefactor to your success. When you think about it, how's that b7 pawn from this example going to change the tide of the game? Yeah, it didn't. The initiative is the basis for all gambits, so it would be worth learning some of them to get a feel for how initiative changes the tide of the game, not to mention they're tons of fun to play. Piece sacrifices are great for creating an attack that otherwise wouldn't be possible. Through this example, white was able to obliterate the queenside, making the black king defenseless. It's worth understanding the concept of pressure within the context of chess. Pressure refers to how difficult it is to move a piece without getting into a bad position. In this case, just by moving the queen to e6 led black to his demise, as explained earlier. The queen may be a very valuable piece, and blundering it often means defeat. You can never know if a queen sacrifice is to be made. If you find one in game that is perfectly sound, then everyone will think you're so cool. Knowing checkmate patterns, the formation of your piece is placed such that the enemy king has no safe squares, can win you so many more games as you will be more prone detecting the pattern rather than having to manually calculate whether or not checkmate is afoot. And that's the video. Thank you for watching this analysis by Disco Joker. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more wicked mad powerful videos. See ya, wouldn't wanna be ya. Ha ha.